Hey everybody, it's JJ Conway. I want to welcome you to Building Wealth Together. We meet every first Saturday at the Pierre Bossier Mall at 9 o'clock. Today we are not meeting at the Pierre Bossier Mall. We are recording live from the Shreveport Bossier Mini Maker Fair. We are here at the State Fairgrounds in the Agriculture Building. It is going to be an exciting time of celebrating makers in our community, specifically STEM, but also crafters. I'm super excited about it. Later today I'm going to be talking about overcoming obstacles to have a successful career in STEM. So I hope that you will come out and join us for that. We will be here from about 11 to about 2. Okay? Today, let me say it again. Today, I have a special guest. This is my son, who is known on YouTube as Philly Bob PK. He has a youtube.com/c/PhillyBobPK. His channel is called Philly Bob Saves for College. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about Think and Grow Rich. And because the content of Think and Grow Rich has a lot to do with what happens to our brains as a child, that's why I thought I would bring him with us today, okay?
Yeah.
So for those of you who have not yet signed up for the class, this is my old, battered, highlighted copy of Think and Grow Rich, okay? But you will get, if you sign up for the class, you will get an workbook, a brand new glossy big workbook with all of the lines numbered so you can easily find where we're talking from in the book, and it'll also have space for you to record your notes. You can find that on Amazon.com, and you can look for the Think and Grow Rich Study Guide by JJ Conway. There's a lot of people out there who've done work with Think and Grow Rich, and what we've done for this go is we have just done a study guide where we have reproduced the original text. We've reproduced the original text with my little preface about about the fact that we're using the original text. Now let's be realistic about this, okay? This book was written in a time when the world was dominated by white men, and people who look like me were not the intended audience of this book. Okay, there are many people on the market today who have adapted this book to the modern world, but I'm not authorized to publish those versions. Now, I could make my own. Maybe that's something we might do.
Yeah.
But I'm only authorized to produce the original text. So even though it has my name on it, I'm going to acknowledge to you all up front, and it's also in the preface of the study guide, that there are some attitudes that might be expressed with the nature of the culture that this was written for, that may not be aligned with my personal value set today, okay? But the content of the book and the impact that it has on your mind is worthwhile just the same. All right, so let's talk a little bit about why mindset is so important. Let's first look at some of the people here who it says turn $100 into millions, all right? One example that we have here is W. Clement Stone. He was able to build an organization with only $100 into one that now produces, in 26 when this was published? 1960 when this was published, turned $100 into $36 million. Here are some quotes about this book. Ordinary salesmen are motivated to become super salesmen through Think and Grow Rich. More men and women have been motivated to achieve success because of reading Think and Grow Rich than any other book written by a living author at that time. Co-author of Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude writes, health, wealth, and happiness are yours and something more. You can make your world a better world to live in by employing the 13 steps in Napoleon Hill's great book, Think and Grow Rich. And I really like that quote because to me it's at the heart of abundance, which is it's not just about material wealth, okay? It's not just about money in the bank. See, living an abundant life is also about your health. It's not just wealth. It's your health. It's your relationships. It's your creative self-expression. It's your ability to go out there and create the life that you want. It's your spiritual growth. All of these things roll into abundance. And so while the title of the book is Think and Grow Rich, I think if I were to write my own book today, I would call it Think and Grow a Life of Abundance, or Think and Walk in Abundance, or Think and Become Abundant.
We have to give it something catchy, though. Like
yeah, we have to do something catchy. We need something catchy.
Think and Grow Rich. Like, it's set.
It is set.
Think and Grow Abundance.
Well, Think into Abundance. Well, yeah, you guys can help us out. Why don't you guys help us out? Go ahead and come up with some suggestions of what book JJ and maybe Philly Bob too would write if we were to write this book in today's world, okay? Come on and help us with some suggestions. Hey, we're recording. You're welcome to listen in. All right? So when it comes to Think and Grow Rich, the reason that this book is so powerful is because we don't realize all of the stuff that has been, hey, no, you're speaking into the camera, man. The reason, okay, hang on everybody, hang on just a second. Okay. Okay. He's growing rich, y'all. He's growing rich.
I'm thinking about it too.
You are thinking about it. Okay, so here's the thing. We're talking about mindset, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about one of the reasons why a lot of people have this book on our bookshelf, but they actually never do anything with the book. And that is because we look at the title and we think it's all about just thinking positive. Oh, if I just think positive, if I just think happy thoughts, then things will work out for me. And what we discover is after about a month or two of thinking positive thoughts, things haven't changed very much. Some things may have changed a little bit, but then reality starts to creep back in. Because see, my positive thoughts don't change the fact that my coworker is still a jerk. My positive thoughts don't change the fact that my adult children have moved back home and I haven't put them out, and they're eating me out of house and home. I'm using that as an example because you're not there yet. You never will be there yet, because if you move back home, you are going to pay rent, right? Okay. So
I will pay half of the rent.
You will pay whatever I charge you, or you will not move back home. Are we going to do this online? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's on, y'all. Seriously, though, we have all of these different things in our life that are beyond our control. The only thing we can really control is our thinking and our behavior. But when I was younger, before I came in contact with this content, when I was younger, I didn't even realize I had the ability to control my thoughts. I didn't realize that I had the ability to take charge of the things that come in and out of my mind, and I didn't realize I had the ability to choose my emotions. And so the reason we don't have this ability for a lot of us is because the society that we live in has programmed us to be dissatisfied with who we are, to feel like we're never enough, and to kind of fall into this rote pattern of always trying to have, do, and be more, but not going about it in a way that truly breeds success. So we've been programmed to go to work hard, have a good job, and all the while we are making someone else profit, but we're not profiting ourselves. We're remaining stuck. We're remain programmed that we're not good enough, that we're not ever going to be enough, that we're not worthy, that we're somehow faulty. We're programmed to highlight all of our failures. We're programmed to live in regret. And what does that cause us to do? I'm still the mama. And what does that cause us to do? That causes us to spend money and time and effort chasing after a feeling of value, and chasing after a feeling of success, and chasing after a feeling of worth. And guess who's profiting from that? I want you to begin to profit from your life, and I want you to begin to walk in abundance. So let's take, before we dig into the chapters of the book, let's take a few moments to kind of outline how the study is going to go. Our study on this, which you can sign up for right now at jjconway.org, our study for this is an 8-week study that digs into each of his 13 chapters. There's going to be a main lesson, and then there's going to be deep dives for those of you who want to know the actual science and research behind all of this stuff, okay? There's a reason that we need this content, and then it's because of the programming that I spoke of earlier. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to draw something called the Stickman, okay? And the Stickman is going to represent us.
It has a big head, y'all.
The Stickman has a big head. Why does the Stickman have a big head? Do you remember?
Because it's the most important. It has like the conscience and the subconscious.
It has the conscience and the subconscious, okay? And why is that so important?
Because your mind is like the most powerful part of your body, just mentally.
And why is it so powerful? I mean, my hands are pretty powerful.
But whatever is like in your conscience, like whatever someone says will lodge into your subconscious and stick with you for a long time.
Unless what?
Unless you like rebel against it and kick it out.
Challenge it, rebuke it. Yeah, make sure you're speaking loud into the mic, okay?
Challenge and rebuke it.
That's right. That's right. So here's the thing. So we've drawn the picture here of the Stickman, okay? And the Stickman's got a big head and a little body, even though we tend to put more attention on the body, because I look good, y'all. Don't I look good today? We put more attention on the body, but really it's the mind that controls our life, okay? And so we've got the conscious and the subconscious here. And what happens is our brain is like little antenna that pick up from media, from the people around us, from books, from the way we're treated, from the way we treat ourselves, from the actions and the results that we have. All of this input comes into our brain, all right? Now, here's the crazy thing about the brain. If we did a timeline of our birth and we started from 0 to about 12, I'm going to put now down here, okay? If we start from 0 to about 12, our mind between 0 and 12 is just blindly accepting information, okay? We've got an excellent amount of content from Dr. Bruce Lipton that we're going to work into the Think and Grow Rich study that talks about the science behind how this works, how from age 0 to 2 we're pretty much in kind of a theta state. We're just taking everything in. It's almost like we're in a state of hypnosis and we're just taking everything in. And from 2 to 7, the development of the brain up to 12. At about age 12 is about where we actually start having the ability to accept or reject thoughts. Up until then, everything that's been poured into us is just sticking right into our subconscious. So what sticks? What messages are we sent? What messages are people sent when they're younger?
Sometimes if they're not good enough.
Not good enough. We've got
they'll never be
good enough. You know, as a parent, and I'm going to speak to all my parents and grandparents out there. As a parent, we pour things into our kids and we don't even realize what we're doing. So all of this negativity comes in. You're not good enough. You're creating extra work for me. Stop asking me stuff. Children should be seen and not heard. All that's coming in, and at this age range, it's going straight through the conscious, down to the subconscious, and it's lodging itself here. Okay? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Not good. I'm just going to put not good because that really is at the stem of a lot of the things that we're suffering, okay, is not good. And so once we hit about age 12, now we begin to develop this ability, maybe not an ability to draw live backwards on the camera, but we begin to develop an ability to accept or reject our thoughts. The problem for many of us is we have already been programmed from 0 to 12 with all kinds of negativity. And sometimes as a parent, we don't even realize what we're doing. And that's one of the reasons I was so excited to have my son come online with us today as we talked about this. Because there are times in my life as a parent where I didn't even realize what I was doing to him. And I didn't even realize what kind of negativity I was putting into his head. So I'm going to give we're going to talk about 2 examples, and they're going to be very real to you as to why most of us need this book. Okay?
Those examples.
So the first example, I don't even know if you remember this. We're going to talk about Christmas. Do you remember a couple years ago when I got you those books for Christmas?
Oh, those books that talked about my anger.
Yep. So what we had was we had a whole series of books. It was like, where's God, how to handle my anger, godly ways to handle frustration, godly ways to handle disappointment. It was a whole series of like 12 different books on how to walk in a godly way when things don't go well, or we don't feel well, or we feel selfish, or whatever it is. Now, from my perspective as a parent, I was like, oh, man, I would have loved to have something like this when I was his age to help me know how to calibrate my reactions, right? So I got the whole set for him, and I put him in his little stocking, and he starts pulling out the books, and he likes books. So he's pulling out the books, and he's all excited about it, and then you just see his face fall as he keeps pulling them out. And by the time he gets to the end, do you remember what you told me when I asked how come you didn't seem really happy with this gift? Do you remember what you told me? Do you remember how you felt?
I remember how I felt.
Okay, tell everybody how you felt. Make sure you're in the mic.
I remember I kind of felt a little sad and felt that, like I felt a little, more, it was listing my faults that, about me personally, what, I wasn't what I was struggling with at the time.
And how did that make you, feel about what I thought of you?
It made me feel a little sad about Lizzie. It made me question a little bit, but.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm looking at him, and his face is just falling. And like as a parent, you know how it is. You go through all this trouble to have a nice Christmas for your babies or your grandbabies, and then you're expecting them to open up that gift and have this big smile and, oh, thank you, and you get the big hug, right? And his face is just like, ugh. And so I'm like, but honey, I got you the whole set. What's wrong? He's like, it's all about my faults. And what I had done is I had communicated to him that he wasn't good enough, that he wasn't worthy, that something was wrong with him, that he wasn't wonderfully and fearfully made, that he was somehow inadequate. And I'm a parent that tries to be very empowering to my boys and to my husband, you know? And so if I make that kind of mistake, imagine how many mistakes were poured into us by our parents who didn't even know the impact of this stuff. See, our parents could have filled us with, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, just because they themselves were busy single mom, hustling 3 jobs, trying to put food on the table. She didn't know what she was pouring into you. She was just trying to make ends meet. She was trying to keep shoes on your feet. You know, sometimes our dads didn't know the signals that they sent to us by being there or not being there, or working and feeling like, hey, I'm showing you that I love you by keeping the lights on and a roof over your head. Our parents didn't know, just like I didn't know. And I'll tell you one more story that made this real to me, and this is where the Think and Grow Rich stuff is so powerful, because my son was able to do, when he came to this age of reasoning, he was able to do something that I wasn't able to do until way later in life. He was able to challenge something that I had started to put on him without even realizing what I was doing. You see, I didn't learn until my 30s that we could accept or reject thoughts. I just thought thoughts came along, and they showed up, and they were with me, like feelings. I thought thoughts and feelings were things that were just automatically mine. And that's not true. See, feelings and thoughts are fickle. They come and go, and we have to choose what thoughts and feelings we're going to accept. That's one of the core principles of this book that make it so powerful, is we have the ability to choose. Well, I didn't know that, so a thought would come into my mind, oh, that's a great idea, oh, that's an idea, oh, that's this or that's that, and I would just follow along, not realizing that every thought that comes to me isn't necessarily of divine inspiration. Some thoughts are of divine inspiration. Some thoughts are there to sabotage and ruin. And there's some thoughts that come from our subconscious being programmed that we're not good enough, that we're inadequate, and it desires to keep us in the state to which it's accustomed. So I'm going to tell you this other story. It's about you playing football. You might remember it. I'm going to tell you guys this other story. But first I'm going to explain a little bit how the subconscious tries to keep us where we are. It's not that our subconscious hates us. It's that our brain and our body are trying to work in the most efficient way possible. And the best efficiency is to not expend energy on things that are useless. Well, if your subconscious has been programmed that you're not worthy and you're not good enough and you're inadequate and you're never going to succeed, then when you start trying to succeed, your brain says, oh, no, we're not going down that road. She's just going to waste all of our time. She's just going to waste all of our energy, and we're not going to succeed, so let's just nip it in the bud right now. it's not unlike trying to lose weight. When we want to lose weight or gain weight, either one, if we've been at a particular weight for a very long time, the body becomes accustomed to that. In physiology, they call that a set point. Our body is at a set point. Our body feels comfortable at the weight we're at, whether or not that's a good weight for us. And so when we try to work out, we've got a huge hump to overcome before we actually start losing the weight. Or if we're trying to gain weight, it takes a large ramp up before we start to see those huge gains, right? It's because the body is going to do everything it can to stay at the point that it knows life works. Now, it doesn't mean that life works and you have a fat bank account, and it doesn't mean that life works and you have awesome relationships. It just means your brain and body say, hey, I'm still alive, I haven't died, I'm good, we're going to keep it this way. See, the brain, our programming, is better safe than sorry. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Play it safe. That's the underlying message that we've been given ever since day 0 of our birth, is play it safe. Don't step out. And the sad part about it is, all around us are people who, when we try to step out, all they do is what? Claw us back down. So when this football story happened, I was actually really pleased because it showed growth in my son's potential. So we talked about the programming from birth, and then round about age 12, we get to this point where we're able to accept or reject thoughts. And so, do you remember what happened? Okay, do you want to tell everybody what you remember?
I will tell everybody what happened.
Okay, what was it? Do you remember the football conversation in the car?
Yes, I do remember that football conversation.
Okay, tell everybody about it.
Mom was very proud of me, I do remember. So what happened was we were driving. We were talking about what football team because we were thinking of moving me and my...
Oh, I should set that up, shouldn't I? Let me set that up.
Yeah, Mom has to set that up.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm active duty military, and I had a really bad car accident 2 years ago, and so my recovery hasn't been as fast as they wanted to. I've made a lot of progress, but it wasn't enough to send me to Kuwait, so they decided that they were going to medically board me. Well, they told me back in February that they couldn't give me a timeline, but it was probably going to be around August or September that I would get notified of my retirement, and then I'd have a month and a couple weeks to retire, okay? So we didn't want to move them in the middle of the school year, so we decided to move the boys to my husband's house in Texas during the summer. And we're talking about him trying out for the football team. And what did I tell you when we first started talking about trying out for the football team?
So when we were talking about that, she said that it might be a little tough for me to play with them because they're all like big and tall and strong, or look stronger than me.
I didn't say it like that.
Well, yeah,
you're embellishing just a little bit.
Technically, I am stronger than.
But that was pretty much the. They might be watching.
Hey guys, sorry about that.
So I didn't say it quite like that, but that was the gist. Is hey, these kids, we've seen them practice after the football games that we would visit my husband. They can throw the ball halfway down the field. They can do this and they can do that. And do you remember what you said to me? It's okay if you don't, but do you remember what you said to me?
I said, well, I mean, who said I couldn't run?
That's what you said. Now, you didn't say it like that. I know you're being dramatic for being online on the video. But he was like, but Ma, who says I can't run? And who says I can't catch? Any coach would want me on their team.
What? What a secret. That might have been the high schoolers, not really the junior high players.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what we don't know, and I didn't know that at the time. But the thing is, he had come to the point of reasoning in his brain. He had just turned 12, or he was 12. He had come to the point in his life where he could say, "Hey, I don't accept that. You're saying this, but I'm these other things. And maybe I can't throw the ball halfway down the field, but I'm fast and I can catch, and any coach would want me on his team." And it just blew my mind, because here I am as a parent that's trying to be empowering and uplifting. You know, he's been coming to Building Wealth Together meetings ever since we started them. We started Building Wealth Together meetings when he was, maybe about, 7 or 8 years old. He's come to every one of my Dave Ramsey classes that I've taught. He's sat through many of my real estate investing webinars. Like, I'm trying to pour everything I can into this kid. And yet in that moment, he had to unknowingly, but in a respectful way, check his own mother about the attitudes that I was pouring into his brain. And he was like, I'm not taking that. And so the thing is, if we could have that conversation, you and I both know that our parents have poured a whole lot of stuff into us that is hindering us today that we don't even realize. And let me show you how it shows up, okay? It shows up because we're having, hey, we're recording. You're welcome to stay and listen for a little bit or come back when you're done making your rounds. The way this shows up in our life is when we have our big meeting, okay? You're about to go after your big account. You're about to go interview for the big job. Whatever it is, it's something you've been really wanting and really preparing for. And you finally get the chance to shine. But for some reason the night before, you don't prepare like you should. For some reason before, maybe you're on the Facebook all night. You're on playing Candy Crush all night. You're watching TV all night. You drink a green matcha frappuccino at 10 o'clock that night, and then you can't get to sleep. You go to your big meeting, and you bomb it. And what's really happened is not that you weren't good enough. It's not that you weren't worthy, but your subconscious says, oh, look, she's making an effort. We don't want to do any more extra work than we have to. Let's take this apart and let's nip it in the bud and let's stop. And so we feel like we walk away from that feeling like we failed. But what it is, it's not that we ourselves are a failure. What it is that we failed to reprogram our subconscious for success. And that's where this book will really help you out. I encourage you right now to go to jjconway.org and sign up for the 8-week class. It's going to be online. You can download it or listen in on your phone. And if you miss a class, you can always come back later because we're going to talk about how to overcome the programming of our youth. So when it comes to that, let's go ahead and look at some of the chapters we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how thoughts are things, okay? We're going to talk about how these thoughts come in and how we're going to expand more on what you and I have already talked about with the conscious and the subconscious. We're going to talk about how things are always coming in and how just like little man rejected that thought about the football and could say, but wait, I'm a good runner. I'm a good catcher. Any coach would want me on his team. We, too, have the ability to shut down these thoughts of I'm not good enough. And we do that by tapping into our past successes. So I was sitting down with a mentor one day, and I was like, well, I don't have any past successes to go on. And she said, well, didn't you tell me you went to the Air Force Academy? And I said, yes. So let me write physics, Air Force Academy. She said, didn't you graduate with a degree in physics at the Air Force Academy? And I said, yes. So that's the timeline there. She said, didn't you tell me that they wouldn't let you declare physics because they told you blacks couldn't do physics? And I said, yes. And she said, well, didn't you all decide that you were going to do it anyway? And didn't you graduate as president of the physics club? And didn't you go on to have 22 years in the Air Force chairing some of the highest committees in physics? And I was like, yeah, man, I'm pretty good. But my subconscious back then was still telling me I'm not good enough. I'm not worthwhile. I'm a burden to my parents. My mom should have never had me. I ruined her life. You know, and I am not knocking my parents. I'm not knocking your parents. I already gave you 2 examples of my parenting where I have poured negativity into his life without even realizing it, okay? So we don't want to have any regret or have any hard feelings against whatever was done in the past. We just take the new awareness and we walk in that new awareness, okay? And so this book is going to help you to do that, and the online class that I'm about to do is going to help you digest this book from the 1960s, and it's going to help you apply it to your life. All right, so the first chapter talks about how thoughts are things. Then we're going to talk about desire. We have to really want something. See, in order to overcome these issues of the subconscious, we have to invoke our emotion. Intellect only carries us so far. This is why you can know what to do to lose weight. You can know what to do to build a better marriage. You can know all this stuff in your brain, but you still don't do it. And it's funny because I was teaching a class the other day about this kind of stuff, and here I was. I had like Krispy Kreme, and I had a Frappuccino, and I had all this stuff, and I was like, here I am. You know, I'm down 20 pounds this year, but I'm still trying to lose more weight. But, you know, I'm making it harder on my own self. So why do we do that? The reason we do that is captured in this book, and how we overcome that is also captured in this book. All right? So another chapter we're going to talk about all 13, but I'm just hitting the ones we're really going to dig into. We're going to talk about the importance of faith. Now, as a scientist, you might be surprised at how much faith is important to me. My faith has allowed me to hang on through some of the most crazy situations ever. So, for example, one time, about 10 years ago, actually, I came home from a military trip to find my house sold, my stuff thrown out, and by the time all the dust settled, I ended up a divorced single mom with over $845,000 of debt. And we're in the process of selling the last of those upside-down properties. This was a property that was we paid $405 for, but the market had crashed, and so it was only worth $180,000. And so that property itself is now, we're in the process of selling it to my renters. It will have been 10 years, and I'm finally going to be out of all that debt. 10 years. Well, you know, I don't worry about it because I know that the techniques that helped me get out of that debt and the mindset that helped me get out of that debt is going to propel me so far forward in the next 10 years. So we have to have faith. We have to have faith because life happens. All right? Another chapter, we're going to talk about the importance of specialized knowledge and why it's important to practice for things. We're going to talk about organized planning and how living your life in an organized way reduces a lot of the drama that derails our success. One of the most important things that we are going to talk about in this course, and we're going to spend a lot of time on this, is we are going to talk about imagination. Now, imagination is super important because a lot of what we're fighting are the memories from before we were even old enough to accept or reject ideas. These things are just poured into us, they stuck there, and we're living our life according to it. I think it was Carl Jung that said, if we don't make the subconscious conscious, let me say that again. Carl Jung said, if we don't make the subconscious conscious, we will continue to be ruled by it and call it fate. And imagination is one of the ways that we overcome the programming of our youth. So what we do is we imagine ourselves in the future state that we want. So what is something that you want to have 10 years from now?
Since I am 13, almost 14 years old.
Yeah.
I'd still be in college, but I mean, I hope to have all my, like,
in 10 years, you'll be 23, 24. You should be done with college, unless you're going to grad school.
Probably not. I want to get a master's degree in Indiana.
Okay, so you'll be in your master's program. What do you want that to look like?
Well, I want to have free scholarships and gotten all my scholarships in college for free.
Okay.
So I could have the money that one lady who had that, like, had her sons who got scholarships.
Miss Pam.
Yeah, Miss Pam, and her sons are had $700,000, something like that.
Yeah, I think her website is the Credit Shark.
Because they didn't have to pay to go to college because they had already got
College Shark.
They already got free scholarships.
They got scholarships. They got over $700,000 scholarships. There was Miss Pam and Miss Lynette. Both of them had similar stories. So how will that feel? Tell me how that feels. How will that feel to graduate with your master's degree and have no debt?
That would be awesome because, I mean, lots of college students, I know sometimes that, like, lots of them have debt.
Yeah, they have a lot of debt. And then
they have to work hard to pay for that.
They have to work extra hard to pay for it back. And would you have to work extra hard?
I would. I would if I was in debt. If I'm not and I got the free scholarships and got enough money off of getting the free scholarships and stuff like that, then I wouldn't need to actually get loans and stuff like that, so I wouldn't be in debt.
And what will that do for your life?
That'll make my life a lot easier. I could go in an apartment since I would be just starting, and then I could buy like a used car because that's what I've been told. Buy like a used car, not like one that's like used like 1990, but like a car that's not too much. Not too much, like maybe $4,000, $3,000, $5,000 in that range, because that would be like a used car amount. And what?
Keep talking.
And
It would feel amazing, right?
Yeah,
and it would open up
amazing.
opportunities for you.
I'd still have enough money if I just bought an apartment and then I also bought myself a used car. I would still have a lot of money to help me buy for food and stuff like that.
And have fun.
Yeah, and have fun too.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. When I was his age, I didn't even think that those things were possible. When I was his age, my experience, we never even had a house. We lived in raggedy apartment from raggedy apartment. I remember the apartment we had when I graduated from college. I shared the room with my sister, and you could look out the window, and about a foot away from our window was a big brick wall of the next building. That was my life. And my parents did the absolute best they could, and my mom sacrificed everything she could so that we could go to college and we could go do everything that we needed to do. So I'm not knocking that. You have to start where you are. But he's not going to have that story unless he chooses it. No. And if he does, I'm not subsidizing it.
What?
But we can tap into the emotion of what we want to do in the future. You'll see elite athletes do this. So when you see elite skiers getting ready to go down the slopes, you'll see them close their eyes, and they're visualizing themselves going down the course and making their gates and making their turn. We did a thing earlier where we visualized doing a flip off the ramp with a snowboard. Both of us love to go snowboarding. And we sat there and we closed our eyes and we actually felt the wind on our face and felt the crisp air and the success of getting off the lift without knocking our snowboard into all the skiers next to us.
Technically, I never did that.
Yes, you did. Don't even. Everyone who starts on a snowboarder has that experience.
I've never had.
But what it does is it allows you, having these imaginations of what you want in the future and feeling the details. I mean, really feeling the details. Like if you want to be able to vacation in luxury on the beach, feeling the sun on your face, feeling the luxuriousness of the place where you're relaxing. All of that goes into overcoming the subconscious. Hey, y'all, we're doing a recording. Y'all are welcome to stay and listen, or you can come on back later. Okay, so when people in our lives, especially our parents and especially the teachers around us and the other adults around us, pour all that negativity in, by imagining the amazing life we can have later, that is when we can begin to create feeling tones of success. And the more we create feeling tones, where's my pink marker? I don't see it. I'll just use black. But the more we create feeling tones of success, all right, the more it overcomes these. And it makes all this negativity go down until they're just little bitty negatives. But then we have big successes. Okay, and that's what the power of imagination does. It helps us overcome all of that programming from our past. All right, so I encourage you today, make sure if you're listening on the line today, go to jjconway.org and sign up for this class. Another chapter we're going to spend some good time on is about procrastination, what it is and what to do about it. And then we're going to talk about some other things. You definitely want to talk about some of these things. Now, I'm going to admit up front, for some of you men out there, this is going to be a little difficult to talk about with a woman on the line, but one of these lessons is called the Mystery of Sex Transmutation. And he's like, I'm out. We're not talking about this with my mom. But the thing is every energy in our life is a type of energy. And it's up to us to harness that energy and use it for wherever the best good is needed in our life. So we are going to get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to talk about this amazing book, and it is going to change your life. All right, that's all I've got for you guys today. Remember to go to jjconway.org and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to our new podcast and then sign up for this class. Also want to encourage you to go out to youtube.com/c/FrillyBobPK and sign up for Little Man's YouTube channel. All right, I'm JJ Conway signing off. Y'all take care and be blessed.